So as this most unusual of political years draws to a close, Italy becomes another place where something exceptional is happening. A government with a large majority upended by a referendum. A leader routed, his friends argue, by his own sense of honour.
This is also a lesson that Matteo Renzi gave to the political establishment because, in Italy, nobody resigns. And nobody really wins an election, nobody really loses a referendum, and everybody remains sit on his chair. And Matteo Renzi simply took the political responsibility. There is an English word which is accountability. You don't have the translation in Italian.
So a prime minister gets flushed away, but that's far from the end of this. Why? Because Mr. Renzi was in the middle of remaking Italy's electoral laws and how people are represented in their democratic institutions when this happened, and that work has not been completed, meaning they can't just have a fresh general election tomorrow. Add to that the fact the country has to pass a national budget before the year is out, and you have a deep crisis with no one really in control. People have gathered outside the prime ministerial palazzo to watch it play out. Mr. Renzi was hoist, say opponents, not just by constitutional arguments, but by Italy's apparent inability to pull itself out of the economic doldrums.
Quindi il governo questi anni non ha prodotto quello che aveva.
The government in recent years hasn't delivered on its promises to Italians, and so turnout was very high, higher than at local elections 6 months ago. That's because citizens wanted to say, no, that's enough with this government, that's enough with Renzi, that's enough with Europe, with the banks and with Merkel.
Tonight, it emerged Mr. Renzi has been asked to stay on a few days longer to finalise Italy's budget for 2017. So how long will a new government have to put fresh electoral laws in place as the markets eye Italy's tottering banks?
Not so long. I do believe that, as usually, international financial market took the position a little bit before the event of referendum, as usual, and then are now in some kind of standby position. But the real answers must be given by Italy as a country, starting from the President of the Republic, try to arrange another government with two specific tasks. Obviously, the first task, immediately, is to pass the budget law for 2017, has to pass within December. And second, to have a new electoral law to go to new elections to give Italy a little bit stronger political government voted by Italian citizens.
And waiting in the wings is this man, Beppe Grillo, leader of the Five Star Movement. They campaigned against Renzi in the referendum and are well placed for any general election. They're campaigning to take Italy out of the euro. How real is that threat now?
It is clear that the Five Star Movement wants to get Italy out of the eurozone. And this is the paradox of the coalition which supported the no to the constitutional reform, because it was a weird bunch of has-been, former prime minister, a good part of the real establishment, which struck an alliance between the neo-fascists of the extreme right of the Northern League and the populist Five Star Movement. And this is probably the biggest paradox of this situation. It was a no without a real alternative.
For those who beat Renzi, the referendum was a cause for celebration. But it may prove to have been just the appetizer for an enormous change in politics here, one in which the main course in an election expected this spring will be whether Italy should stay in the euro.